Today I have Alan Gratz. He's the number one New York Times bestselling author of many acclaimed books, highly acclaimed books for middle grade readers. He's got a new book out, which reminds me of which movie I'm talking about, War Games. There's a couple
I
of
know.
So let's get right into this. This is going to be very interesting. So you've got two new books at once. First, your historical novel placed the 1936 Olympics, War Games, and the retelling of Refugee. They're both quite different. Which came first?
So, Refugee, the prose novel, came out in 2017 and has been my biggest book. It's been on the New York Times list for more than 5 years. It's been taught in schools across the country and around the world. And when we thought about turning some of my books into graphic novels, we were like, oh, it's got to be Refugee. That's the one we've got to do. So I wrote the script back in 2020, and then we started looking for an artist. And it took us more than a year. We found a lot of artists, but they weren't quite right. And then finally, we found a guy named Sid Feeney. He's Iranian American. He lives in Brooklyn. His artwork was amazing. It fit perfectly with the story. So we got him on board to illustrate the book. But then, of course, it takes years for the illustrations to be done, right? You got to draw it, you got to ink it, you got to put the colors in, and then so by the time it comes out, it's been years since you started working on it. So Refugee, the graphic novel, is older in some ways than War Games, but just by coincidence, they came out both at the same time.
So, Alan, why do you think your historical novels about World War II resonate with today's middle grade readers? That's interesting.
Yeah, so middle grade, for people who don't know, is like ages 8 through 14. It's like upper elementary through middle school. Sometimes it even goes up into high school a little bit. But these are mostly like middle school is that core age. And it may sound a little silly, but I think that middle schoolers have a really strong sense of justice. I think they have a really good sense of right and wrong. And when they see somebody doing something wrong and not getting in trouble for it, they get really bent out of shape. And I think that what happens is when they read about World War II, I mean, this is good versus evil. It was the democratic nations of the world coming together to fight fascism, right? I mean, it is good versus evil. And I think they see that in World War II, and it really resonates with them. And in the same way that like seeing a bully on the playground and wanting that bully to get what's coming to him is the same way as seeing the Nazi Germany doing what they're doing and wanting to see Nazi Germany get what's coming to it. So I think that's why this time period is so appealing to middle grade readers.
So, what appeals to you about middle grade students, and why do you like writing for that age?
So the last day job that I had was as an 8th grade English teacher. So I used to be around these kids all the time, and I loved it. And I'm one of the very few people who actually claims, and this is true, that I had a great time in middle school. There's a whole lot of adults who look back at that and say, that was the worst time in my school years. I loved middle school. So I loved teaching it. I loved being a middle schooler. But my favorite thing about that age is that they really are young adults. They're still, during recess, they're out there playing kickball and horsing around. But when you bring them back into the classroom and they settle down, eventually they do, they start thinking about who they want to be as adults. They are becoming adults, right? They're on the cusp of adulthood, and they're trying to figure out their place in their community and in the world at large. And I love that time when they're questioning everything and trying to figure out who they are. And I love writing books that I hope are a part of that conversation, that are a part of that transition for them from childhood into adulthood.
Speaking of that, War Games takes place in 1936 Berlin Olympics with a 13-year-old Evie Harris in competition. What about the event interests you to make it pivotal to the story?
So I've wanted to write about the 1936 Berlin Olympics for a long time. This is the Olympics where Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals. It's the Olympics where the underdog boys in the boat beat all the other rowing teams to take home the gold. And it's the first televised Olympics. It's the first Olympics with a torch relay. You got the Hindenburg flying overhead, giving aerial shots from the blimp. And all these things are going on, but of course what really interests me as a historical fiction writer is what's going on behind the scenes, all that tension in the air, because this is Nazi Germany. World War II won't start until 1939. This is 1936, so we got 3 years, but the Nazis are already in control. and everything they're doing is kind of hidden right now. We don't know the extent of all the bad stuff they're going to do. We got hints of it, but we don't know everything. And so it's that drama behind the scenes that I'm interested in. When Evie goes to Berlin, she doesn't want to worry about politics. She sees Hitler in the stands, and she knows there's been calls to boycott the Olympics, but she just wants to compete and win a gold medal and not worry about politics. But the longer she's there in Berlin and the more she sees, the more she understands the darkness behind all the glitz and glamour of the Olympics, all the things that the Nazis are doing. And she's like, dang it, I just wanted to come here and win a gold medal. I didn't want to get political. But when she sees all that, she can't help, just like most middle schoolers, she sees something wrong and can't help but do something about it. And so she teams up with a group of international athletes who are going to rob the German National Bank while they're in town to stick it to the Nazis. So it is a sports story and it's a heist story all mixed together.
All right, so when does the movie come out, man?
From your lips to Hollywood's ears. I don't know, but I hope that somebody picks it up. That'd be great.
Now, Refugee was one of the best books of 2017 and remained on the New York bestsellers list for more than 5 years. Why was the time right to reimagine this story as a graphic novel?
Well, unfortunately, it's always a good time to talk about refugees because there's always refugees in the world. We have refugees in the world because of climate change. We have refugees because of food shortage. We have refugees because of war, because of racial and religious persecution. And the United Nations says we have more refugees in the world right now than at any other time in human history. Right? And that's a huge thing to say when you think about World War II, to get back to World War II, when you had the entire world at war and you had people dislodged from their homes because of all the war, and now we have more refugees now without a world war than we did in World War II. So it's always, unfortunately, a good time to talk about refugees because it is a constant problem. We keep making the same mistakes and keep having the same questions. What are we going to do about this? So it felt like let's put out Refugee as a graphic novel to start that conversation all over again.
Wow, you're absolutely right. There's more refugees today than ever have been.
Right.
It's amazing. One final question for you. I know you're a baseball fan. Who do you think is going to make it to the league championship series, and who will meet in the World Series?
We got no Cardinals or Royals for you guys, right? So
right.
We're not in it. You're not in it this year.
No.
But I got to say, I like the LA Dodgers. I'm a Dodgers fan and have been for a long time. So I'm rooting for the Dodgers to make the series. I also think Toronto's really good on the American League side. So I could see a Dodgers Blue Jays series. We'll see. I mean, we still got a lot to be decided with Detroit and Seattle. So there's a lot to go. But I could see I like a Canada California series. How about that?
I like that idea. I like it. Alec Gratz, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. I really appreciate it. War Games and Refugee. Thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate you.